Yeah, hi, it's Healy here. I'm just going to do a video on supplementation and what have you. It's just easier for me to do that rather than write a whole lot of stuff again. Um, Now, regarding my background, regarding supplements and what have you, I used to own a gym with over 2,000 members. I was the agent for Masashi and Rodney Campbell, who is Masashi's head naturopath. We worked together for years, and I'm still a mate of Rodney's now, although his Masashi got taken over by one of the big American companies. But anyway, bottom line is the fundamental analysis on amino acids has not changed. Now, sure, I know bodybuilders and what have you are taking steroids, which I've never advocated, but I also was a coach for Bill Phillips' Body for Life transformational challenges. All my transformational challenge people were straight on amino acids, and many of the so-called bodybuilders in the gym that were on the gear thought that I had my clients on steroids, and of course when they questioned me I knew nothing about what they were using and all this sort of stuff. So not only athletes, but for health reasons, there are just a basic few amino acids that are the universal best to use during training and post-training, and it's pretty easy when you pull it all together. The trouble is there's so much BS out there that everyone gets confused, so I thought I'd do this quick video up, especially for my clients and what have you. So if, like, I'm 71 this year, so I probably don't look 71, right? But I've had a few health issues which I've had to navigate through, and the other thing is one of my very close friends and associates is a professor in natural medicine, and his name is Matthew Bambling, and we work on a lot of stuff together behind the scenes. Now, I had a discussion the other day regarding what sort of workouts I'm doing these days. So no, I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger or anything like that. All those guys are heavily on drugs, even though I respect Schwarzenegger and Tom Platz and all these guys. I mean, they're fully blown on the gear. So that's a different ball game. As a natural athlete, you've got to do it more scientifically, actually, because you haven't got that advantage of being, artificially bloated up, so to speak. You've got to do it naturally, and it's probably, overall, it is a better way to go. So at 71, I'm usually doing one workout a week, but as I've described in another video, the workout for me goes, for about 2 hours, and it's low weight but high intensity, if you know what I mean. Now, I'll do another video on that. I've already done one, but I'll do another one on the actual workouts. I just want to get to the supplement side of things. So, as an example, the workout I did last Sunday, which I'm still sore from now, it's Monday today, but it knocked me because I really put 100% effort into it. I'm not doing maximum weights, but I'm doing a whole lot of other training structured towards what I actually do, which is self-defense training, and the weights sort of, I use a combination of Nautilus machines, and I'll go through that. I'll actually go through that in another video. So, okay, so I'll just switch this around so you can see what I'm talking about. And there's the first thing that you've got to have in your, apart from, there's my original George Foreman griller, and you can just see it over there. There's a huge George Foreman modern day griller there. You probably can't see it too clear because I've got it turned around the other end, but that was George Foreman griller. George Foreman used to talk to me on the internet as well. He's passed away now, but what a great boxer. So one of the hardest hitters of all time. So you just get, this is Urban Muscle that I used to have their, basically one of their agency actually, or the one I definitely advocate these days is Bulk Nutrition. Right, they seem to have the best supplements at the most economical price, and they're good quality. So you just, this, if you can't read this, but there's about 700 ml of water you can put in this. Same with this one here. This is a stainless steel container with a ball in it, where this has got, you know, a filter, so you put the lid on and all the rest of it. So what I do before my workout, I'll put about 600 to 650 ml of water. So that's about up to there. So on this one it'd be similar. So I don't know, I can't read that. Let's have a look at it. Get it under the light. 650, 700. So for this one, 650 is about there. All right. Then what do? You go to the cupboard, and all these interesting stuff here. This L-glutamine is, without doubt, you know, it's the workout survival mechanism. Also, it's used medically. I've got that all on my website, Healy Health. I won't go into the medical reasons for it, but it certainly is good for gut health, for muscle recovery, and post, you know, after workout, your delayed muscle soreness. L-glutamine is the one to neutralise that fairly effectively, and I'll tell you how to use it in a second. I'll just bring it out here. The other one is branched chain aminos. Now, branched chain aminos are what you need for recovery, and you need it straight away. Okay, I'll explain that in a second. The next one is, right, a non-stimulant, non-stim workout. Now, I'm not into the caffeine boost, because if you have any creatine in your supplementation, I'll just highlight these as well. If you want a good protein drink, Bulk Nutrients Protein Matrix is the one I recommend. I think this one is, what is this one? 1 kilo of, I've got vanilla and chocolate. Anyway, that's a really good protein drink, and of course you've got the amino acid profiling in that. Now, in the container, just imagine that I've put this water in this container. It could be the other container, but I put it in there, about 650 ml. Now, the non-stimulant workout, you've got to watch this a little bit. If you don't, you know, you can sort of sometimes react to this. But just read the ingredients. I think beta-alanine is one of the main ingredients there, but I think they've got, oops, let me straighten that up again. I think, and why I put a peg on the container so they don't come open, because they're Ziploc, right? Okay, so let's have a look. Let's have a look. Non-stim ingredients: citrulline malate, creatine monohydrate, beta-alanine. Okay, so your creatine monohydrate, that helps form and create the androgen triphosphate cycle. What that does, that's the energy cycle. And also it gives you an extremely good pump, which really the citrane, where is it here? I've got to read the things. Ingredients, it's citrane malate, creatine monohydrate, beta-alanine is like, that's the stimulation part of it. And that one, just be careful how much you put into your drink. I usually put 1 level teaspoon, or just slightly rounded teaspoon, into the 650 ml of water. Now your BCAAs, branched chain aminos, as we see here. Where are we? L-leucine, L-isoleucine and L-valine. They got citrus malate flavouring, or citrus malate and flavouring, but citrus malate helps basically push that into the muscle cells. But your branched chain aminos are the aminos, when muscle breaks down, the first amino acid they need is BCAA. So that also helps, you know, recovery, and it also helps, you know, the muscles to repair rapidly. So again, 1 teaspoon of that, 650 ml of water in this container over here. 1 teaspoon of BCAAs, and I do a rounded teaspoon. Tastes quite nice, this one. I just put a level teaspoon in, maybe a rounded teaspoon of the non-stimulating workout, because we don't want caffeine. Caffeine counterproducts creatine production, so that's why we don't do that. And plus, you don't need artificial highs on caffeine, right? This is totally what I call a pre-workout non-stimulating. In other words, non-caffeine. I don't know why they put caffeine in these particular pre-workout formulas, because caffeine, from a scientific point of view, caffeine counteracts the creatine that's in there. So, I think they do it just for commercial reasons. Everyone's gone sort of stupid on caffeine, and probably some other drugs as well. But anyway, L-glutamine's a big one. Now, I put a nice heaped teaspoon of, if you saw that, was my cat just jumping down the side there. L-glutamine stops delayed muscle soreness, and it is a prime amino acid within the muscle. Also has a lot of other benefits, such as gut health and liver health and all that. A lot of medical stuff involved with L-glutamine. I recommend it for patients as well, but I won't go into the medical side of it, just the sports side of it. So for the muscles to feel full, energized, and you've got these amino acids floating around in your bloodstream in a free form while you're working out, it means minimum damage to the muscle, because every time you're taking your muscles to failure, you're actually damaging the muscle. That's why you get sore, right? And that, when you damage the muscle, it's got to repair itself. So mainly these two help you minimize the damage to the muscle. Now, I'll go into this cupboard here. There's a lot of stuff sitting in here, but I'll pull this one out. This one in particular, Super Magnesium Lemon Lime by Caruso. Caruso is probably the best and the closest to naturopathic strength products on the market. Otherwise, you've got to go to the more expensive groups. I've got agencies for that, but they're just too damn expensive for people normally. So, I can supply naturopaths with formulas and stuff like that, but just double this price. So this here is the best. Now, magnesium is for muscle contraction. There's a whole lot of other reasons for it, and as it says here, supports heart health, maintains the nervous system, relieves menstrual cramps for women, those that are calling themselves women, that is, and reduces and relieves muscle cramps. That's the main thing. So I put a rounded teaspoon of super magnesium in this formula. I'll drink this during my workout, and I'll tell you how to do that in a second. Now this is a formula that we used to always, back in the 70s and 80s, we'd always take freeze-dried liver, and usually the company that was putting that out was Bullivants, that's right. And then it suddenly all went off the market, just disappeared. I don't know why. Maybe it had, the cattle got the flu or something, who knows, But this particular product I recommend thoroughly. It's freeze-dried liver, and it's organic freeze-dried liver, and you can get that from iHerb, which is a great group. It's in the US, but the products they send you very rapid, come from the US. They'll be there within about a week. And there's 160 capsules or 180 capsules in this particular container, but this gives you a lot of energy, all the B group vitamins, and for some reason freeze-dried liver just works. I can remember it back in the 70s and 80s. It was great. You'd take a couple of freeze-dried liver and boom, you'd be like super energized. So I take, before a workout, and you've got to watch this a little bit, I take 1 or 2. During the normal day, I'll take 1 in the morning, 1 at night, because for B group vitamins. But that's that one there. Now, the other, there's a whole lot of stuff I've got here, which I'm not going to go into because they're for other reasons. I'll just get into the tribulus here. Now, as far as, get the camera going. As far as natural testosterone boosters, this works for men and women actually. I mean, You know, it'll boost the hormone level up safely. Caruso's the best one. Natural Tribulus 3, what's it got, 30,000 by the look of it. Yeah, there's another nought, 30,000. Didn't put a comma after the noughts. But this is to maintain healthy libido, maintains and supports vitality, traditionally used by the Avriac medicine as an aphrodisiac and what have you, supports nervous system function. I take 2 of these before a workout, 1 or 2 of them, and just for a general testosterone boost, and you sort of need it when you get about 71 like me. But what you'll find that if you take 1 or 2 of these before a workout, that's Caruso's Tribulus, thoroughly recommend Caruso's Tribulus, that, I'll just switch this back. You take 1 or 2 of those Caruso's Tribulus before the workout, and boom, I tell you what, you'll have the most productive hour working out that you've ever had. Now, the thing is with working out, if you don't do what I've suggested, and that comes from training myself and people for over 50 years, and as I say, I've run professional personal training and what have you, Body for Life coach for Queensland, all that, and I still am connected with my old mate Rodney Campbell and Professor Bambling, where we sort of know what we're talking about regarding supplements, and of course I've got all the records, plus I've got a med science degree, so that sort of helps at the end of the day, but none of that helps unless you're actually doing training, right? So yeah, so I've done the training as well. So now this is how the sequence goes. Before you work out, you put that formula together like I said. One turn it around again. L-glutamine 1 teaspoon. BCAAs 1 teaspoon. Pre-workout, non-stim, no caffeine in it. This is bulk nutrients, they're the best. 1 rounded teaspoon. 2 if you really want to pump up, but just be careful with it. I'd recommend just 1 only. Magnesium, super magnesium, 1 level teaspoon in that drink. Freeze-dried, grass-fed beef liver from iHerb, 1 or 2 capsules. That's pretty powerful. And of course, I whacked that back in there, but we'll have a look at it again. Sorry about that. Caruso's Tribulus. Now, 1 or 2 tablets. They're fairly big tablets. You take the tablets, obviously, and then you mix that drink up in the water. You mix the drink up, shake it up, go downstairs, I usually start, say, 15 minutes cardio, right? And I use a big stepper machine. I've got all the commercial machinery here, and I've got 4 double garages, right? So I drink probably a third of that 650 to 700 ml concoction that I've just told you about while I'm doing the stepper work. Now, I can have a bit of that before I go downstairs, obviously. The reason why I do that, while you're doing the step work, the blood's pumping through the system, and that will absorb through your stomach and into the system before you even start your workout. So the 15 minutes, I do 15 minutes on a 9500 series stepper. That is important to pump the supplements through the system. Now here's another tip. I mean, this sounds a bit funny, but here's another tip. If you're lacking energy, you know, like normally before a heavy workout, you should have some form of carbohydrate. But if you haven't got to a small bowl of, say, basmati rice or something like that before a workout, because you usually need some form of carbs. I don't have a great deal of carbs these days before a workout because the supplements seem to, satisfy that. Plus, I have got a resume with my diet, and I can't actually have much carbs for me, although I'll put on weight. But if you have a little bit of carbs before a workout, the other method you can use, and I've used this like when I've been running short, haven't got had my little bowl of rice or something, is cut up oranges. Just peel an orange and cut up the orange and just have half an orange or what have you, and the fructose in the orange, which really is a form of sugar, but it gives you the sustained energy. I've done some really heavy and hard weights workouts on one cut up orange. I've had the supplements, but I just didn't have anything to eat, so I had a cut up orange. They work. When I was playing rugby league, half time, this is in Townsville, what did the mums cut up? Cut up oranges. Now, if you're from Townsville, like my son's still up there, Adam, and if you're looking for a good accountant, go to Adam Kern and Associates. You know, Townsville's extremely hot. It is like living in a pizza oven. And we used to have, you know, the full-blown football jerseys on then with the sort of, you know, they're made for down south, I'm certain. And we were at the almost at heat exhaustion half time. I used to play for Central's ASA as a second rower. Played against some of the state origin guys too, like Chrissy Phelan knows who I am, and Marshall Colwell rang me the other day. He's now retired, but he played front row for a state origin, I think with Sam Bacco. So half time, we'd have all the ladies we'd have a big support from our like tuck shop ladies, so to speak, and they'd have all these cut up oranges ready for us at half time. And I remember, you know, taking down as many cut up oranges as I could. And the second half, I had energy like you wouldn't believe. In those days, we weren't on any drugs or anything, even supplements. We didn't. All we did was take cut up oranges. So I'm telling you, the cut up oranges definitely work, and you get those good Valencia oranges. Not necessarily the orange juice. You want the fibre with it to slow down the sugar flow. Okay, that's a little tip from the past. Now, you go and do your workout. You take one bottle of like one of these. I'll bring it in here. Just a bottle like that of normal water. Put that in your training bag plus your 650ml. It's like a protein shaker, I suppose, you know, with your formula, with the concoction in there. And you just sip that, and if you feel like you've had enough of that, you know, the BCA, L-glutamine and pre-workout stimulating formula, you might have half of that. You might have had 3/4 of it, and then you just sip on the water. You go through and do your workout, and you will have a sustained pump, and you'll have the energy because you've had the tribulus, because you've had the freeze-dried liver, and because you've also got a teaspoon of Crusoe's magnesium formula in that drink, which enables you to contract harder and just gives you a real thump behind your workout and a pump, thump and a pump. Think about it that way. Then after the workout, what I then recommend over the next few days is, yes, you can have your protein powder, you know, and try to keep your protein powders mainly on water. Especially if you're like me, if I have too much milk or anything like that, I'll immediately put on weight. You know, sugars I've got to be very careful with. Most people have to be careful with, you know, sugars. And that's including sugars and lactose and all this sort of stuff. Lactose is a sugar, of course. So with your protein drink, you know, try and maybe put a little bit of milk in the protein drink, but mainly water, and then put that bulk nutrients matrix formula in. That's great. You know, maybe one or two scoops, and just I usually make it pretty thick and tasty. You know, the other alternative is what I do when I'm not taking so much the protein drinks. What I'll do is make certain that I'm taking in about 100ml of water, I'll put a teaspoon of L-glutamine, rounded, teaspoon of BCAAs, and then I'll put a teaspoon of Crusoe's magnesium formula in 100ml of water. That's after the workouts. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be immediately after the workout, although that wouldn't be a bad idea either, but usually by having that concoction that I've told you about in the 650ml of water, that's usually enough. You've had enough by then. Have something to eat afterwards, of course, but the next day you will feel, you know, it'll hit you because it's what you call delayed muscle soreness. So the delayed muscle soreness takes up to 3 days, but I usually feel it when I've done a workout like I did last Sunday, which was 2 days ago, a day ago now. It'll hit you that next day, and then as soon as you feel that hit, get into the 100ml of water, 1 teaspoon of L-glutamine, 1 teaspoon of BCAAs, and 1 teaspoon of Caruso's magnesium. Mix that all up and just drink it down. Just drink it first thing in the morning. And then do that for the next few days. It might be 2 or 3 days. While you're feeling that muscle soreness, just make certain you've got your the levels of L-glutamine, BCAAs and Caruso's magnesium up in the system, because that's when the muscles are repairing themselves. Now, I can feel the effect of, basically it's healing the muscles as quickly as possible, and I can feel that effect today. It's only 1 day after, and I don't feel too bad. I've sort of sore in every area that I've struck, and that's how you do it. So that gives you a little bit of a tip on how to run your supplements. I'll do a couple other videos too on various other supplements and what have you, but hopefully that helps. And any questions on training, just say training cycling or anything like that, just send me a message on my website or SMS, and or on the blog. You can go onto the blog on Healy's Health, and I don't know, I think you can respond on the blog, but best off just send me an email, and then I'll tell you the best way to communicate with me from there. Okay, that's Graham Healy, Healy's Health, Healy's Musculoskeletal, Healy's New York stock market trading, and what else do I do? Oh yeah, Healy's Commando Krav Maga as well. So I'm a multi-skilled person, and I never stop learning. And I've been a politician, as I've run for the Senate for Queensland with Rise Up Australia. So I'm the sort of person that's always learning, always achieving, and always analysing everything that I'm doing correctly, from medical to political to spiritual, actually. So, okay, that's Graham Healy over and out. Hope that helps.